And hello, Keldio. It has been quite a while. Exactly, probably, I think, counting now 3 weeks without Muffin news. Aren't you lucky that I'm finally back? Finally moved in, finally got my internet situation sorted, and I can finally bring you the news that you wanted. A lot has happened in those 3 weeks. We've lost 2 coaches, unfortunately. Both had to drop for various reasons, but we've added 2 new coaches. One being Muffin, whose team is going to be on the left. And then the other team, Kayla, a new person of Vega's friend, will be on the other side there. Look at those teams. We'll break those down just for, soon in the actual matchup, but just take those in. Other little things, I'll give you a little later recap. So at the moment, we still have Zom with undefeated 6-0 with differential of 17. Still doing better than what they did in season 1, where they absolutely destroyed Cabalion. Good work, Keldio. You haven't been completely destroyed. So in second place, we have Twitty with 5-1, rocking the diff of 19. In third place is Martin, 4-2. Ditto is also 4-2. Martin has a diff of 16, but Ditto has a diff of 7. That's how big of a gap we're getting at this point. Eriko is 4-2 with a diff of 4. Jofi G is 4-2 with a diff of 2. Aga is 7th with 3-3, diff of 1. Kayla, the new coach that took over, is 9th with the diff of 3-3, minus 3. Getcha, our Getcha, Gen 3 AV man, is 3-3 with minus 7 with their mono electric. Relin is 2-4 with minus 4. Haven't done too well, but they did make some changes. We'll get into that. Muffin is 1-5, minus 15. We don't need to talk about that. Barry is 0-6, minus 17. And then finally, Emmy is 0-6, minus 21. The most important thing, though, for those that won't probably make playoffs at this point is have some fun. That's what Muffin did with that team there, just having some fun. And he hopes that everyone else can have some fun as we get through it. I forgot to turn something very important on. There we go. Always got to make sure that you turn the important things on. Now, before we move on to the actual teams themselves, let's, for a moment, actually get to the kill leaders as well. We do like the kill leaders. We do like to see those kill leaders, and we do enjoy understanding how amazing everyone is. So in first place, we have the Zemazenta Crown, which is, in fact, owned by our one and only Martin, with 16 kills and 4 deaths. Up next is Latios, coached by, now I gotta double check my own notes to make sure I get the correct coach. Latios, here we go. It's actually in of our second place, Tweety. I probably mispronounced your name completely. I apologize, but you have Latios. You actually got Latios into second place with 11 kills and 3 deaths. And finally, we have the GOAT, the one and only Prince. I know. Hold your laughter, hold your applause. Prince has somehow managed to get a kill captain. I don't know how, I don't know why, but they're currently Polyrath has 10 kills and 2 deaths. How amazing is that? So that is our top 3 with Raging Bolt by the our Gen Mono Electric team close behind with 10 and 4. So it's still anyone gains for those for that kill leader. But I think that's enough of me talking at this point in time. I think it's better off that you can go watch those pickems. I hope you enjoy, and I'm glad to be back. See you in the next one. All right, welcome to Pick'ems Week 7. Let's bring in this. First match is Ditto versus Barry. And now I put a little terrestrializer symbol to showcase who can Terra and who cannot Terra. I thought that was a fun little easy way to do it. So, I mean, looking at this team, Barry definitely has some threatening stuff. You know, Bundle does outpace the entire team. And Freeze Dry stops Vaporeon from just sitting on it as well. Freeze Dry actually hits a lot of these Pokemon super effectively, funnily enough. But we could definitely see some webs. In saying that, you gotta be very careful if you do bring webs, because Court Change, Cinderace, I didn't say Greninja. Court Change Cinderace is literally right there. So you are playing the gamble of, do you bring webs to try and slow down the bundle, or do you try and scarf something, say the Masquerada, the Goldengo, that's the one, something like that. On the flip side, you do have to be worried that Terratoris. I don't think we've actually seen it throughout all the weeks. We haven't really seen it do much. We've always seen Terra Haunter, which is interesting bring, but I'm hoping to see more Terratoris to try and combat some of these threats. You do have Grimmsnarl, but you can't really Parting Shot as long as that Masquerada is there. In saying that, Masquerada doesn't really want to stay in on it, especially if it's not Protean, which would be really weird for it not to be. You do have some Trick Room shenanigans with the Ursaluna, though Gliscor does, I think Gliscor may be able to sit on it. I don't have done the counts off the top of my head to see what it takes from Facade, But regardless of that, you do have that as an option. And then Forever can always revamp those that Trick Room. Kirim here also doesn't have a bad matchup either, especially considering the only fighting type there is being him on top, which shouldn't probably come at all, because him on top there does definitely does struggle a little bit against Crown and Slow King especially. But if it does decide to come, it probably will be a late game Mach Punch Pokemon trying to catch things out, like Bundle, the Kirim, and any other Ursaluna if it's low, and any other low Pokemon. Overall, I think this battle is going to be an entertaining one, but I do have to give it to Ditto. They have been on their A game so far, and they have a lot to prove to try and get that playoffs they want and deserve, and hopefully win. Game 2, we have Enrico versus Zom. Zom is on top of their game. They also made some changes. They've actually dropped Petrarunt and the Bravery. As you can see on the screen, they now have Spectre because Relin dropped that, which is crazy, and Swalot. We do love some Swalot gaming. Their Terra Captains are the Diancie and the Sandaconda, so those are two to consider. But I'm sorry, but I think Zon wins this. They're currently undefeated, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Yesterday, there's a Darkrai, but Darkrai doesn't outspeed the Deoxys speed, and I'm pretty sure could die to a superpower. If it doesn't, if it does live, it just gets outspeed by Spectre with the Draining Kiss, so... and then Spectre, I believe, does get Psychic coverage, handling Keldeo. And I don't think Lando wants to take a Shadow Ball from that either. On the upside, if Erica is trying to get that W, they do have the Hazard Sack. They do have the ability to get Webs, especially if Terrapos doesn't come, or if they get rid of it sooner rather than later. But I do think Zom just has the better team just to whittle this matchup down. I don't think... The only thing I can think of is they don't bring, for some reason, Boots, Terravagos, and then Swalot, and you have Toxic Spikes, maybe then, but I generally think this is a Zom win. But then moving on, we have ourselves Relin with the new and exclusive Roaring Moon, as well as Spirit Tomb, who's just kind of chilling there, with the Terra Caps of Indeedee and the Moltres, against Martin, who has the Terra Caps of Arboliva and Colossal. Honestly, it's going to be a very interesting matchup, considering they got rid of Spectre for now Roaring Moon. I don't remember the speed, but I believe Zamazenta does in fact outspeed Roaring Moon, so it's a bit of an interesting one. Weezing doesn't really want to stay in on a Zamazenta, especially if it is revealed to be sub Zamazenta. You know, if you try to Will-O-Wisp it, they get the sub off, and now you have to try and take 2 heavy slams to the face. Not really going to be taking that too well. In saying that, Levitate Weezing definitely has to come. There's no doubt about that, because Garchomp Scale Shot does exist, and with the one Scale Shot, I'm afraid that it could outspeed even an unburdened, or potentially an unburdened Caesar. If it doesn't, Caesar still has to try and block that unburden before Garchomp comes in, so it's a bit of an issue with that. I mean, the Indeedees and the, depending on the Terror on the Moltres, it could possibly do something, but I think that Zamazenta at the moment is so overbearing, and they have so many Pokemon to try and counteract that. I mean, you can close combat it, but then you have Mandibuzz sitting right there just to take the close combat. You can even Clover Cloak the Mandibuzz if you don't want to deal with any Dire Claw situations, and then that ends up threatening the Unburden Mon out anyway. So I think instead of Unburden, they probably will go Poison Touch, because it makes more sense. Just because there's so many things that Martin can do. The other thing you have to be very careful of is webs. I don't think Martin brings webs at all. I think it'd be very silly, considering there's a Defogger right there. And competitive Empoleon is also a thing, but, you know, it's just something to consider. If I had to pick between the two, I mean, look, Relin hasn't had the best start to the season. I mean... at all, but they can always make it the comeback. I just don't think this is the game to make the comeback. I have full faith that their changes will do well for future weeks, but I don't think it's for this week. I think this week is going to be much tougher to try and overcome. So Martin, I'm giving you the win. Well, I'm going to say that you'll win. Up next is our 2 favorite new people, who for some reason that spelling is still incorrect. Ugh. And Emmy. So overall, very interesting matchup here, because so far, Jordan has used that Terra Moth terribly. I haven't seen it actually do anything in any of the games besides die. So I'm very interested to know how they're going to bring it to this one. In saying that, Terra Gardevoir and Terra the Dunsparce is very scary for the team in general. Glare is a big thing they have to consider on top of that, because glaring the entire team is not going to be helpful. I think Metagross does come for the access to Bullet Punch, taking down non-Terra Frostmoth, Baxcalibur, and the Enormous in case it does decide to come. I think it makes sense. It also does get chip on the Greninja if the Greninja is low at any point. How we gain that Greninja low, that's going to be the issue. I think Greninja here, especially Protean, Greninja looks so good. Ice Beam, Surf, Dark Pulse, and then Extrasensory, I think are the 4 moves that come. I think those are the only 4 moves you realistically need that can handle 99% of this team. So I think we might see some amazing plays with that. What do you call it? Pormont. If Jort decides to go the more Battle Bond route, they gotta be very careful of the Mach Punch Pormont. But I think that Pormont is going to have a chance to shine, because Pormont in this matchup actually looks really good. I mean, Milotic, Registeel, Frostmoth, Murkrow, Greninja, Baxcalibur. It looks so good. So if Emmy is I think Emmy should build around Pormont and a Pormont endgame. I think that is how they could potentially win, especially considering that Pormont also gets access to all the elemental punches. So Ice Punch for the Electro, things like that could very much be useful. Overall, who do I think could win? I think it'll be it'll be a coin flip. It'll be a very coin flip. I'm gonna give it to Emmy because I want them to get their first win. I have full faith they can, but it'll be a very much big coin flip. Up next is our new coach, Kayla versus Prince the GOAT. I don't know how Prince is doing it, but Prince could actually make playoffs. They have to keep winning, of course. 3-3 is not good enough to make playoffs, but if they win this match and possibly next week as well, they can pretty much secure playoffs. If they lose this week, they have to win the next final 2 weeks to secure a place in playoffs. So Kayla's bringing themselves into a nice position because they can also make playoffs at the moment, with Terra Meloetta being the pain of everyone's existence, especially mine. With Hydreigon as well being a new addition. Dondozo, Terra Bomb Snow, Peasantipity, taking the Houndstone that I dropped, and the Killer Wattrel. It'll be a very interesting match. I think that, honestly, thanks to Dondozo, Prince's Sword Stance, Belly Drum plays do not work. Even the Sailage plays do not work, thanks to that unaware Dondozo. So Prince is really going to have to figure out, how do I get rid of that Dondozo first, to then start setting up. Until that Dondozo dies, Prince, I don't think, can win. I think once the Dondozo is dead, they have a better chance, especially if, depending if they can get the rain up and they get a belly drum off freely. But unless that happens, I think I'm going to give my win to Kayla, just because that Dondozo pretty much can solo the entire team, which is really funny to think. Up next, we have the Monotype versus Muffin. I'm going to say straight off the bat, I won't spend too much time talking about this because I don't like talking about my matchups and what I could possibly do, but I don't think I win this. I've been having a shocking time, but I'm also playing just for fun, so I don't win, lose, I couldn't care less. I'm just here for a good time trying out new Pokemons I've never tried, and the most random combination of a team. I have a chance to drop a lot of things and make trades, but at the same time, I'm very much like, game's the game. I'm just having fun, chilling out. And our final battle is Agar versus our second place GOAT. Honestly, that's it. After seeing Gentleman Thomas 6-0 someone with a Zangoose, I'm terrified of Zangoose now. I think that I've always wanted to use that Pokemon in drafts, especially Terra, but I've never gotten a chance to. I think my next draft I might have to grab up Terra Zangoose because it looks like an absolute monster. In the matchup, Urshifu Single Strike is looking really good, thanks to its coverage as well. Same with Dragapult, looks really good. You do have the, I just dropped something. You do have the Corviknight to try and handle the Enorminous. I don't remember if it gets Mystical Fire. I think it might, but that also could be... That could also very much be that text thing. I don't remember at all. I mean, you do have Terra Frostmoth, Terra Rotom Frost there to help with that as well, which doesn't look too bad in general. The Garganacl is going to be an annoyance for sure, but if you Clover Cloak, say, your Corviknight, maybe you could 1v1 it, but you don't want it to start iron defensing in your face, because then you're going to have a lot of trouble. I think if Ego can get into the end game where Dragapult and Urshifu are still extremely healthy, I doubt that will happen, because it's gonna be a very fast-paced game with the slowness coming from Giganackle, Corviknight, and Mudsdale. If they all come, I think that's where the game slows down. I think it'll be a fast-paced game for the most part until those 3 Pokemon hit the field. The moment those 3 Pokemon hit the field, I feel like everything will just slow down just a tiny bit more, because of the fact that these Pokemon are so bulky and they're going to be very hard to break. I think it's going to be another coin flip to who will win, but I'm going to give it to Ego because I'm biased like that, but we are yet to see. But I believe that is the last, that's the last battle of the week, so I'll head back over to Other Muffin to close out. I hope you enjoyed the pickems for this week. I promise I'll finish it off for the other weeks, and then potentially I might even do it for our playoff matches. But thank you all for watching. I do appreciate you all being so patient with the fact that I had to move houses and I didn't really have access to internet. You've all been absolutely amazing thus far. I love modding Keldeo because it is so much fun. Regardless of the banter that we might have, I do enjoy it every day. But that's enough for me. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next pickems. Bye-bye.